being cynical about the industry, clearly, if I'm going to make the most money, I don't want people taking some medication for a couple of weeks and then stopping. I want them to carry on taking it forever, if possible, and as many as possible. So clearly, that's the way to make maximum profit, is as many pills as possible for as long as possible. So how does that get from them to doctors? Because trust me, I am a doctor. Trust me, I'm a doctor, yeah. And I know doctors, and they're great people. Some of the greatest people you will find in this country or any other country, and they absolutely go to med school with that wish to help people, and they still have that wish to help people when they retire at the age of 65, and they've got it all the way through their life. So where does that influence come in? It doesn't come, as many people might think, in terms of any kind of financial perk to prescribing. There is none. In fact, financially, nowadays, there is no connection between the pharmaceutical industry and the jobbing doctor in their surgery. There is no connection. And in fact, because of health authorities cutting budgets, governments cutting budgets, if anything, GPs are going to be rewarded for cutting prescribing. So where does it come in? Where it comes in is in the evidence and in the research. This is it. So if I'm a very good doctor and conscientious, then when I've seen all my patients for the day, in the evening, I'm going to go and read the research. The British Medical Journal, the Lancet, the New England Journal of Medicine, the three biggest impact journals in the world. And interestingly, the past authors of each of these three main journals have gone on record in one way or another as saying the evidence is flawed. One of them said at least 50% of it is unreliable. So how do you know which 50%? So we know it is gradually, the regulatory authorities are gradually kind of making rules, but the pharmaceutical industry is so rich that of course it will find ways around the rules. But there are many, many instances where a pharmaceutical company has deliberately, fraudulently published research and maybe been fined, when they got found out years later, they've been fined billions of dollars, and yet it was still worth doing financially because they made more than that, so it's worth it. And so if I'm that conscientious doctor looking at the research, that's where the influence comes in. It comes in the research. How you deal with that, I don't know. Fortunately, because I've opted out of prescribing, I don't prescribe anything anymore, I don't have to get involved in that. And the kind of research that I look at is usually primary lab science or epidemiology, and a bit like Tom Cruise said in Jerry Maguire, follow the money. Yeah. So if you look at who's funding this research and who's going to potentially gain, a lot of the research, there isn't somebody particularly gaining. And I know that for me, if I advise someone to change their diet in some kind of way, or to take a supplement, or any of the other things I advise, I ain't making no money from that. No. Nothing. Zero. And that's the only way to be absolutely sure that the advice you're giving is at least what you believe to be true. Okay. So I think conventional medicine has got itself accidentally into this real difficulty of not knowing what is true. And my personal experience, and part of the reason for giving up as well, was that so many of the treatments that I used didn't seem to be working. So antidepressants, for instance, you get the odd patient that are dramatically effective for. The majority of people, maybe they worked as a bit of a number. They numb people so they didn't feel so bad, they didn't feel so good either. In terms of lifting the depression, often people will come back and they say, after about 4 minutes, they say, I think the tablets are starting to work. I would say, no, they're not. It's just getting better. Or something like that. You're getting better, despite the tablets. So again, I'm not saying antidepressants have no use. I've certainly known cases where they've been very effective, but as a whole.
It'd be difficult to say, I know, but if you had to
Yeah.
try and come up with a general percentage
Yeah.
of the times where you thought antidepressants really have their place here, amongst everything that's out there, where would you pop that?
Me personally, I've found probably between 5 and 10% of depressed people really benefited, because again, this is the problem with the because conventional medicine is a bit of, it's dogmatic, so that's like religion to me. You know, it says this is the way it is, and one of the things that's worshipped is the randomized double-blind controlled clinical trial. And the criticism of people like me in holistic medicine is, show us your randomized double-blind controlled clinical trial. And of course, if that is the only model, if that was the only model, then we're stuffed, because number one, to do research that qualifies for that costs a lot of money, and who's got it? I certainly haven't. And number two, because whatever I am personally doing, whether I'm sticking an acupuncture needle in you, or coaching you, or helping you, learning, teaching you how to express your emotions, partly it's me that's doing it, and there is a human element, which again has been researched, and you can't factor that in to what's going on. So with holistic therapies and management, in the same way as you can with a pill, because with a pill you could effectively, if you want, get a machine to dole out the pill, so there's no human element. Is that a placebo? The whole process is designed for pills, really. The other fault with it, apart from the fact you lose all that human thing, and it will make a difference. If I put an acupuncture needle in compared to if this person over there puts one in, depending on your kind of feel about that person, we put it in exactly the same point for the same amount of time, it will have a different effect.
Right.
That's tricky. The other thing that's tricky, just briefly, is that say if my research of the trial shows that 1,000 people were given the pill, and there was a 5% improvement, which is statistically significant, say. Well, I don't know. I have no way of knowing whether 1,000 people had 5% benefit, or whether just 10 people had a massive benefit, and the other 900 and something had none. And so you can play around with statistics quite a lot, but when people discover that they've taken, say, let's take an easy target, they're taking a statin, easy target, but actually conventional doctors who run a site called thennt.com, which stands for the numbers needed to treat, will show that perhaps 200 people like you will need to take one of these tablets for one of you to benefit over 5 years. And the patient's going to think, hang on a minute, I'm not sure I want to take this.
No.
And often that information is not made clear.